Welcome to the enchanting world of the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Prepare to be captivated as we embark on a thrilling journey into the realm of spirituality with our remarkable team of a distinctive energy mixture. Leading the way is Mitch Garlington, a gifted gay male witch, touring stage medium, and psychic tarot card reader. With a background in the competitive corporate world and experience as a Cher impersonator, Mitch brings a fresh and unique perspective to our discussions. Next, we have Lucy Locke, a former fundamentalist Christian missionary turned sex shop manager turned professional dog groomer turned psychic medium, trance channeler, and tarot card reader. Her incredible transformation into the spiritual world is truly inspiring. And last, but certainly not least, we have Carly Batten, a second-generation practicing pagan, intuitive oracle card reader, and spiritual mother to many. Carly brings a grounded approach and simple understanding to the complexities of spiritual living. Together, we form an unstoppable podcast as we delve into all things spiritual and the journey of life. Our mission is crystal clear: to spread the message that spirit embraces all and that each of us is on a spiritual path, whether we realize it or not. So buckle up and get ready for an exhilarating adventure with the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Please note that all ideas discussed and presented in this podcast are the personal opinions of the individual podcasters and do not necessarily reflect the views of each other or the viewers. Hi all, it's us from Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast, and we're now doing episode 17. Crazy. Crazy. Well, we've been discussing, we're recording this at a different time than we normally do. This is the evening for us. So if we look a bit like we've been, the day has taken its toll. No, we're all right. We're all right. We're going to talk about different forms like of grounding that we use, protection, spiritual protection. Oh, we're gonna cover a gamut of things about. How do you want to explain it, Mitch? Everything, like
clearing, cleansing, letting it go.
Yeah. Exactly. I was tempted. Mitch saw me. I said, "I'll take." Mitch said that this shirt might be binding me because that was what they were, because it's stripes. So I almost took it off, but I thought, "Oh no, we're going on a podcast." Because I thought maybe Mitch would be all right, but the rest of you guys wouldn't be all right with me sitting here in my bra and overalls. But
I'm anyway, nothing phases me.
I know you are, Mitch. But maybe not that open-minded to see canned ham and overalls sitting in front of you.
Maybe.
Exactly. It's gone from you're feeling constricted to you're psychotic. Anyway,
if you're going to sit there with it in your canned ham and overalls, you need an angle grinder as well.
Oh dear.
I need Black & Decker tools to shape.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're off on one. Who would like to start? Because I know you guys have got a load to say.
Go on, Mitch.
No, I've noticed this. They always palm this over to me. And actually, Carly, this was your subject matter this week.
And then we cut him off. Then we cut him off like I just did now. And then we cut him off for the rest of the episode.
So I think, Carly, you should start because this is actually your idea this week. So
it was a fantastic idea. Yeah.
We're going to end up playing sort of one of those old-fashioned tennis games.
Yeah.
No, it was a joint effort, teamwork, dreamwork, and all that.
No, it wasn't. You came up with it. We just agreed.
What was it, Lucy? I was in the shower and I had a download.
Yeah, true. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. No, that was earlier on where you sit there and suddenly have a download stuff. Yes,
anyway,
some
guys, sorry.
Weird stuff happens in the shower. Anyway, I have some very strange messages when I'm in the shower. That's for another day.
Oh dear, it's going to be one, guys.
I know. I think late nights are bad.
I think they're quite good actually. We suddenly get a burst of energy. We just like we're on, gone. Yeah. Right. So yes, it was okay. I own it. I'm going to own it. It was my subject matter. I was in the shower. I did have a download. There's just stuff talking about. Actually, the reason why is because having a shower is one of my daily, weekly, well, obviously I have a shower daily, but it can be a daily routine of cleansing. It can be a weekly routine of cleansing, and cleansing yourself. And water, as we know, is it's a great cleanser, isn't it? So if you have crystals, if people have crystals, obviously there's certain crystals you can't put in water. Whatever you do, don't put selenite in water because it's fibrous, so it will at some point dissolve. And rough malachite, you have to be very careful with that because it actually contains arsenic, believe it or not, malachite.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so the rough malachite, don't lick it.
Oh no, Mitch.
That's it. That's your Friday night entertainment.
You told me that would cleanse my throat chakra, Mitch. Oh my God, Mitch, you liar! Trying to kill me.
He's trying to kill you off, Luce. That's what he's doing. So you can get a word in edgeways.
Exactly.
Oh, my plan's been unravelled here.
Oh, that's it. You've been sussed your plan. So water is an amazing cleanser, as we know. It's a great reviver. So I was taking a shower, and it suddenly made me think about aspects quite recently, sort of aspects of my spiritual path, and about sometimes how we need to remind ourselves about cleansing, grounding, the symptoms of. I think there's a lot of people that need, I know that I need reminding, but also need to recognize the symptoms. So I love it. Sometimes if I've come to sort of like my fairs and things like that, and I've had a day of being quite busy, so not just running around like a blast fly, which I always do, but obviously, spiritually holding that energy, holding that space, that's quite a lot of going, a lot of giving out, a lot of babaring, as I call it. So Teletubby belly, baba. So when I come home, you put the water on, you stand in the shower. I sometimes have Himalayan rock salt like scrub. You can literally get it granuled down, and you can actually use that on your skin. So it's a bit like exfoliating, but actually
don't take your salt lamp and rub it against your body, especially if it's plugged in the shower. Just a warning to everyone.
Oh God, yeah, please don't do that. Otherwise, it would be sued. But but you can do that, but with the whole thought and intention of washing the shit down the drain. So washing the crap of the day. Anything that you've picked up, any heavy energies that you've got, and it all goes down the drain. You can do it when you have a bath as well. You can have a salt bath as well and put water in, put the salt in the water and sit in that and soak for a while. But as you pull the plug, imagining it all going down the drain, and you can watch it go. You don't have to sit there and make up a little affirmation or make up a little spell that rhymes. You don't have to do any of that, and it's really, really, really simple. You don't even have to use salt. You can just think and visualize everything like peeling off. Intention all the time. But it's the most simple thing. It's something we all do every day, or at least every week, and we could, it could all goes down the plug hole, and it's a really refreshing way. Sometimes if I had a really heavy day, I suffer with, not so bad now, but I do suffer with migraines, and sometimes having that water, just having the rain, if you can, cope with it, that shower just running over your head. I've noticed now, popping up on the wonderful world of Facebook, there's actually a therapy where you go and sit in a beauty spa, and they've got like a rain bar that runs like where you're led down, and then like where you go.
I saw that. Yeah.
And it was like running over, like running across your head. And I thought, oh, actually, I quite like that idea. So even there, you could put the whole, as I say, intention into it, and clearing and cleansing, and you'd be surprised how much lighter you feel coming out of the shower, or how much more refreshed that you feel. But I mean, it's the most simple thing, but I think we all forget to do it. But it's really important to keep that cleansed. So symptoms for me personally, if I feel as though there's been a bit heavy. I feel a bit of a weight on my feet, so I feel a bit sluggish, and I do actually feel like I'm being dragged a little bit. So I feel a little bit lethargic. I'll feel a bit heavy in my feet. Um, and I feel stuffy. Do you understand what I mean when I feel stuffy? Sort of like you
Do you mean like sinusy or?
no, just like you just generally feel, ugh.
Because
Like
I get
foggy?
sinusy.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
fog?
groggy. Yeah,
Fog.
Yeah.
yeah. And that's how I know that I've had a heavy day of picking up or carrying stuff, or I need to cleanse and get rid of stuff. How do you guys have do you have a daily or weekly routine? Do you have the same sort of thing? How do you guys sort of clear from a heavy day of reading? Because you guys are busy when you're reading.
Well, yeah, when I'm
Mitch
like
is
kind of
busy.
when I'm kind of done like doing a day of reads, it's very much like close down the chakras and everything because I always open and close. And that's really interesting actually because I was chatting to a medium a while ago and they said, "Oh, you don't still open and close your chakras, do you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've always done that, you know." And there's a lot of people as they progress on their path, they don't bother doing that. But for me,
Mm,
always instill the basics, you know. So yes, I
mm,
don't necessarily think about each one and visualize each one for 5 minutes like I did in the beginning. It's like a zip. It's almost like a zip opening and a zip closing, you know. But I still do it because I know for a fact when I don't, I'm leaving my energy exposed and open to potential, not so much attack, but just stuff. We all put stuff out there without even realizing it sometimes, you know.
mm,
If you say you have to go over to a supermarket, well, I let Paul do that, but like if it's something you have to do of an evening, if we went out for a meal, perhaps say, of an evening in a pub, you've got all those different energies of people from their days, and you don't know what could be in the atmosphere. So making sure you're zipped down is just a good one because
It's almost
it
like you're a
prevents.
magnifying glass. You know how it just gets you get a headache, like
Yeah,
it's too much. You know what I'm saying? You just have to like because you're working and that you need that then, but then you just I'm sorry I interrupt, but then you just need to soften it and protect yourself by closing them. Not closing, but just
yeah, just
that.
for me, it's
Yeah.
mm,
like a zip. It just closes them
Yeah.
down, you know. And actually, often when I finish my day of spiritual work to ground, I actually have a coffee sometimes, you know. I find like coffee for me is a really good just pulling my energy back down if I don't want to have to go outside and sort of connect with the earth or whatever else. Just a nice
mm,
cup of coffee, you know, feet on the floor and just taking a couple of deep breaths and thinking, right, thank you, Spirit, for allowing me to have this great day of clients or whatever I've had going on, and just that, you know, feeling your body just centering in the chair almost, you know,
mm,
sometimes that's just enough for me.
mm,
For me,
mm,
you know. But when it's like nice, when the weather's nice, sometimes I'll go into the garden and I'll just have bare feet and I'll just, you know, ground and anchor in that way or whatever.
mm,
It just depends, really. It depends, I think, how my day's gone, what mood I'm in at the time.
mm,
Mm.
mm, mm.
You know, it can
And
be lots of things. Go on.
mm, I was going to say, and how do you do you have like, I mean, you've been working for so long with spirit now, you sort of automatically know when you've maybe sort of picked up heavy energy and things. Do you have things that trigger off, like you might have a left eye twitch or feel a bit heavy in the shoulders or
If I'm getting like where I feel the energy is getting heavy, so I suffer from headaches anyways. Interesting, we all suffer from headaches,
mm,
actually. But I tend to find actually that I can have quite if I've had like a full on day, my headaches can be worse. So usually like it will start in my head, it will go behind my eyes. That's always a warning sign for me if it goes into my eyes, which it tends to do. And then it's like, right, pull back, stop, let's just refocus, let's recenter. Often I find as well if I'm feeling like the energy's got a bit heavy. So what like you said about feeling like fuzzy, when I'm walking, it almost like imagine if like you've got like a little toddler like wrapping around your feet and you're trying to walk and
mm,
they're trying to pull you back. It's that
mm,
sort of feeling I get. Or
Mm.
when Oscar's sometimes dibbling around my sort of legs and I'm like, let him move out the way because I want to just walk in a straight line, you know? It's
mm,
that feeling of feeling unbalanced and you feel it's not so much dizzy, but you feel like it's an uncentered feeling, I suppose,
mm,
isn't it? You feel a
mm,
bit like a jack in the box sort of swerving around and everything, you know?
mm,
So that tends to be what I get. I'm trying to think what other signs I get. I think that's it, really, primarily. And sometimes I'll just feel physically nauseous, physically sick, and that's when spirit is saying you need to seriously stop for a sec. If I get the
Mm,
nauseousness.
mm.
Mm,
It's quite interesting.
mm.
Quite interesting how you feel heavy-footed as well. What about you, Luce?
Yeah, for me, grounding saved my is a big part of saving my life. When I discovered grounding and actually someone taught me how to ground, and that was like in my first circle that I
Mm,
joined, I bawled and bawled my eyes out because like I started to realize, oh, I'm a part of this earth. It like healed me
mm.
when I was kind of living in this like chaotic, no control of my like I to outside people, I probably like I'm funny and this and that, but inside it was like just noise and chaos of
Mm,
life. Does that make sense? And thoughts that bombarded me about how shit I was and how this I was and
Mm.
like not those words, but it's like feelings of just living in ugh,
Like a
mm,
numbness. I get that
yeah.
because I had that with
No.
my meditation circle. When I went to a meditation circle and they taught me how to ground, I was like, shit, where have you been all my life? So I get that feeling
mm,
completely.
100%. So I ground as often as I could. And how I do it is meditation is a huge thing for me because meditation has tamed my mind. Does that make sense? I
mm,
realized then my mind is flesh. My mind is chemicals running. My mind is old soundtracks that have been trained. And when I've meditated, I got to know me.
Mm.
mm,
And I saw me for who I was, that I was this lovely energy that I really enjoyed being with. And I think that's really important on the spiritual walk is to first get
mm,
to know you as your energy
mm,
Yeah,
inside of
definitely.
you. And then
mm,
you can start to decipher your symptoms. Does
Mm.
that
mm,
make sense? So if you don't
mm,
have a baseline and you're just going, oh, I'm going to ground to do grounding with being quiet, even if it's a guided meditation, but quietening your mind and getting to know you, just sitting with your energy, the peace and love that's inside of you, and calming your body down. And then you'll be able to see what is not meant for you, I guess the word
mm,
is. And so for me, it was like now I can decipher. Before I wouldn't have been able to tell you at all difference
mm,
between me and spirit, me and other people. I didn't have boundaries to other people's emotions in my life. I just absorbed
mm,
their emotions and took it on as my problem or that I was the cause of their
mm,
problems, even though like it was so confusing, my
Mm.
life and how I thought that it was getting into it at times showed itself in mental health. And I see that in a lot of people, not saying they have mental health problems, but I just see the chaos. Does that make sense? And I say, first ground and get to know yourself. Spirit will
mm,
come and show itself to you because you
Mm.
are spirit. You are part of spirit. Does that make sense? But then you can start to differentiate between different energies once you know your own energy really well. And I think with Mitch, that's been part of your training is just sitting in the quiet before you even kind of
Yeah,
push
definitely.
yourself to do other things so that you could decipher, yeah, okay,
mm,
that's not me. That's coming from spirit.
Yeah,
And then
that's
the
it's
evidence shows itself. Does that make sense? The evidence shows itself.
yeah, that is a baseline when I do any sort of teaching with my own sort of mediumship mentoring. You know, I've always said to people, how can you kind of communicate the thoughts and feelings of others if you don't know the thoughts and feelings of yourself?
mm,
So yeah, meditation is very, very important, and it just allows for that grounding and that sort of centering, and you can, and it is just sitting with your own spirit, and it's being at peace with your own spirit first, and then guides and other spirit entities and whatever else can come in afterwards. But yeah, it's just being really secure and sort of safe and held in that vibration of love. Because when I meditate and when I just sort of connect with self, I just feel this unconditional love that just wraps
Mm.
around me.
mm,
Because you are like how I view it is that before this lifetime, before I came down as Lucy, my spirit, me, my higher self went, I want her. I want that life. I
Mm.
love her. She's going to be fucking awesome. Does that make sense? And so when you do sit with your own energy, you realize it's not ego, because it's far from it, because you realize it's for everyone, not just
Yeah,
yourself, but you see the
mm,
uniqueness of who you are and your own. And so anyway, when I ground, what works for me is literally visualizing, feeling my energy in me and visualizing it in my mind's eye, but I also practice feeling it in my body, going down through my feet. Does that make sense? Pushing
Yeah,
past the earth. And it gave me that practice of also knowing my own energy and knowing the power I can have in my own energy and that I can use my own energy to go out and retract in. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And stuff in my first circle that I ever went to, that we practiced doing that, sitting with each other and seeing if we could feel each other's energy go out and decipher it from our own energy and then our own energy come back in. I thought that was a really cool exercise of just feeling my own power, I guess the word
Mm.
is, and
Mm.
yeah,
my own strength with my energy and learning to control it. By nature, I am okay. So in my astrology chart, I have no earth. Okay, none. None. And I think most people can tell that when they meet me. I have zero earth. My partner, massive amounts of earth. Like, and he's like you, Mitch. It's like lots of earth in his chart and quite a bit of air, not a lot of fire, right? And I've got air and fire. The two
that's a bit of
just
a combination, isn't it? Like,
100 fucking percent and little bit of water. A little bit of
oh,
water.
okay.
So yeah, yeah. So it's Scorpio water.
Scorpio.
Yes.
Cool. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
my moon is water. Sagittarius and Gemini are my being three that I have, but then I have nothing but air and water there. So yeah, I'm quite the combo. But also that helped me get to know myself even that much better, knowing my astrology chart and someone deciphering helped me decipher it.
Yeah,
Was a
definitely.
life changer for me because then I kind of understood I'm not saying I'm controlled by it, but I understood a lot of my influences and it actually made me love myself more, my vulnerable bits and my strengths because it showed me that they were predestined, pre-planned, written in the stars, and that helped me accept them even deeper self-acceptance for myself. So yeah, I practice grounding. I open up my chakras, but only when I go to work, if that makes sense. Like I'm going to work
Yeah.
and do stuff because I don't like them open when I'm running around
Yeah.
my
If you're just
day.
Mm.
doing a normal thing, yeah, you don't need them open, do you?
And I've promised myself that I would spend 30 minutes with myself every day. And so far, it's been happening for about 3 weeks now. I spend it in the morning 30 minutes with myself, sitting in my own energy, feeling my own
Mm.
energy, and then seeing if there's anything within my energy that is out of alignment with me and giving it up or trying to move that energy so it kind of goes more into alignment. So it's like radical, what's the word, being very honest with myself as much as I can be. So I quieten my brain down, but then I sit in the energy and it's so gentle that even when I feel like I see an out of alignment, it's not like you're out of a line. It's not like that at all. It's so just come over here and I
Mm.
want to give it up. Does that make sense? I want to give it up because and it's not like I see everything, but whatever comes up is meant to come up. That's how I look
Mm.
at it. And it's like, okay, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to be like that. And it's like, I just want to give it up and stand more in the power and the feeling of who I am in the purest form that I can feel inside of me,
Mm.
if that makes any sense at all. It makes sense to
Mm.
me when I'm doing it, but it's hard to put into
Into
words.
words. Mm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I think is feeling your body. I mean, I've been very lucky. I always revert back to the talking about the ponies. So I ended up going with a trainer who actually taught me the Alexander technique, which is being really aware of how your body feels and having that brain memory thought pattern. So instead of somebody saying, stood in the middle of an arena saying heels down, shoulders back, that malarkey, she would put you where you should be, and she'd then make you sit there and shut your eyes and feel where your heels are, where your bottom is, where your
Mm,
shoulders are, and be really body aware And then that meant that you could take it away with you and work at home in your own arena or out hacking, but you could because it's there in the thought pattern, you could then stop, take a deep breath, put where your bottom where it should be, where it feels it should be, where your heels are and your shoulders are. And that's exactly the same thing with getting to know yourself on a spiritual path, being mindful of who you are, how your body is reacting to things that are happening, negative thought patterns, being aware of them, and then changing that perspective and putting it into positive, putting a positive thought pattern in there. So it all works along with being mindful, doesn't it, as well? And taking that,
mindfulness is a huge part.
yeah, and taking it and being bodily aware. And you don't have to. I find that, I mean, I'm like you, Lucy, I'm quite busy, but I do struggle to sit in. I've got better, but I do struggle to sit and meditate. But I find, sounds really weird, in the shower, because my mind is not thinking of anything else. Sat on the loo having a pee. And Mitch was talking earlier on about going into the garden with a cup of coffee, just bringing it back in, feeling where you are. If you're having a busy day, I used to do it in the pub when I used to work in the pub, it could be quite frantic of a lunchtime in service, and the whole world is going buzzy and everybody wants serving now and they want their dinner yesterday. And, most of the time everybody's lovely, but it can get frantic. And I'd go for a wee and I'd sit on the loo and I would do what Mitch does with a cup of coffee. I would not drink no. I'd just bring it all back in. I'd take a deep breath and I'd bring myself back in and I'd put my feet on the floor and imagine, like you, Lucy, where your roots go down into the ground, but not too far, because obviously then you get into anchoring, which can then actually make you sluggish. You were talking about it earlier, Mitch, weren't you, saying about anchoring, and actually you can go too far.
Yeah, it's knowing when you need to do that. So obviously, for
100%,
me,
yeah.
I would only do anchoring when I'm doing spirit work, and I use my anchoring mainly when it's platform, because to go obviously high up to spirit energy, you have to make sure you are anchored. And this is often what people don't do in sort of a mediumship training, or I see this all the time. So I'll see people do like a really cool night of mediumship and they'll come off stage and they'll be like physically feeling sick. And I'm like, why are you feeling like that? And they're like, oh, I'm so drained, I'm so tired. And you should never come away feeling, spirit is all about love. It's all about that higher connection. You should never come away from any form of spirit work feeling ill. And if you are, there is something that is either not been done correctly, or there's a problem somewhere. And what I find time and time again with mediums is they are maybe grounding, but they're not taking that energy in deep enough. Where spirit are ready to work and pull them in a very high place, you need to anchor. So that's taking your roots further in from Mother Earth, going into like the crystal kingdom and actually finding like a clear quartz in the center, and actually wrapping your roots around the crystal so the crystal anchors you. And a lot of people don't do that when they're doing mediumship. So I've seen it so many times where they come off stage and they're feeling really quite ill or really spaced out, or sometimes they can feel like quite numb for a few days almost, because it can linger for quite a long time.
I've had that where I've felt hungover.
Yeah, like a spiritual hangover.
Cause I've not done platform, but just doing circle, and or a day of reads at a fair, and I haven't shut down. I haven't done my stuff properly, gone back to my basics. I will feel hungover, like I've had a night of drinking, and I don't feel sick, but just headachy. I don't want to. I could sleep all day. Does that make sense? That kind of feel. Yeah, yeah, and
it's an important thing, and you can always tell the people that have learned the technique as opposed to those that haven't, because you see some come off stage and they're fine and they're buzzed and they're all lovely and they know what they're doing, and then there's others and they come off literally like, oh my God, like they've been on a roller coaster almost. And it's just like, okay, interesting. But yeah, and it's just knowing the knowledge and having the knowledge. Like the first time I was introduced to grounding and kind of anchoring. So I was obviously sitting in a meditation circle, and it wasn't about spirit connection. It was about meditation. It was about getting to be happy and at peace and accepting of you. And
Lovely.
that changed my life because, you know, this person, I talk about her a lot because she was also my tarot teacher, Annette Gearing. She's also a really good friend of mine. We've become lovely friends. But it's like I do feel she in some ways kind of saved my life, because I was in the corporate world. I was in a job that was very high pressure. I absolutely hated it, and I was so ungrounded, you know. And the first time I went to like her meditation circle, you know, she taught me how to sort of, you know, send your energy into the earth. Imagine sort of roots, like the roots of an ancient oak tree, just coming out around you and down and in. And because I work quite well visually, I could see it so clearly in my mind, but I could feel it. As well, I could feel it, and I just felt this overwhelming feeling of, like you said, with the energy of the earth just giving that unconditional love. I just felt like I was connecting with Gaia in the highest degree. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. But then I started applying that to my working day. So, you know, before I would go into work, I'd sit in the car park and I'd be like, because, you know, it was quite a heavy job and I didn't particularly like being there. So I was like, right, I'm going to ground. And as soon as I was to go kind of grounding first before I went into my work changed at times for the better, or stuff still happened, but the way I responded to stuff didn't impact and it didn't affect me as much, you know. So that was the best gifting like she could have ever given, and everything else that followed was a bonus. But just to have that was really quite important, because I'd spent all these years not realizing that I'd been so ungrounded.
Well, they find it out in mental health, like in psychology and all that, that this works. This works for mental
Mm,
health. You know, ADHD. I know one of my symptoms, if I'm feeling really not grounded, and let's see, I have to go deep because I have no earth. And that's probably why I
mm.
bawled my eyes out the first time, was it was like the first time I ever fucking felt earth, even
Yeah,
though I'm walking on it all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Where I'm just like, oh my God. When if you were Colin, probably Colin would be like, what are we doing? Okay, we're grounding. Because he's just so, you know, like on the earth, that he's a bit air and earth. So he's like in his head, but also in the earth when I'm not. Yeah. So ADHD symptoms for me. I've not been diagnosed, so I'm not going to say I have ADHD, but I know I have a lot of the symptoms that they say. Yeah, just flighty. Does that make sense? Not being able to keep a thought pattern kind of going for any prolonged period of time, lack of concentration, that kind of thing. Those are my symptoms. So walking into the kitchen and going around in circles going, why the fuck am I here? And I go, oh, Lucy, get a grip, like ground, ground. Get your thoughts in the here and now, because I'll realize my thoughts are on some memory of the past, or without being very unconscious of it, you know?
yeah.
So yeah, it brought me into the here and now, where I never lived in the here and now. My mind was there, 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 there. And that's why I say to people, if you need guided meditation, use guided meditation, because it will save your life. If you can't sit there and get your brain to just calm down, use a voice of someone else to help you calm it down. That's what they're there for, you know? That's what I do for people because I love it, you know, and I knew it saved my life. Um, yeah, so yeah, see, ADHD. What was my point? See, that's, but round,
Where we
round.
go? What am I doing?
Oh yeah,
I liked
a
what you had
lot
to
of
say about
people.
being present, like, though, because it does, it allows you to be present.
Yeah. And a lot of people, and I was one of them, would say the things like I'm ground, like I didn't know grounding before, but let's say, you know, oh yeah, I'm here, or I feel present. Those are just words.
Mm,
Okay. A lot of people say the words, and I think they say them not realizing you're allowed to feel the emotions of it. So, like you said, grounding, you could sit there and visualize in your eye, like in your imagination, oh, yeah, I've got some roots going down right now. Oh, great, great, great. No, it's actually cultivating, and you're allowed to cultivate. You don't have to wait for the feelings to come upon you. You're allowed to go, what would roots feel like going deep into the earth? What would my power, what does it feel like? My power right now, if I sit and think of my arms and the power in my arms, the vibration, you know, the vibration in my torso. That's your energy. What does that feel like going deep into the earth? You're allowed to feel it. And so I think a lot of people don't somatically allow themselves to feel it. So they say they're doing it, but I'll be honest, energetically, you're not doing it.
mm.
And it's quite an interesting thing you were watching you there, Luce. I know people listening won't be able to see you, so please try and catch this on YouTube. Is you're not sat there with your eyes shut, hum-a-maring. If people are they're commuting backwards and forwards for work, you could sit on the train.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had an amazing experience, which I'll talk about at some point in time, in Avebury, in the hen shop at Avebury with a lady, and I stood with her for about an hour and a half. I was supposed to be doing a fair, a part of the radio show that I co-present, and I ended up talking with this lady and had the most amazing experience. But I'll tell you about that. But I couldn't stand. Something cut into my brain and sort of went, you can't stand in the middle of the hen shop going ha with my eyes shut. Because we were literally stood in the middle of the hen shop. But I actually found it quite easy. And I know some people do struggle. My best friend struggles, struggles to visualize stuff.
So then feel it. Like,
but yeah,
find
feel
what your
it.
senses, find how your senses work the best. Does that make sense?
So having your eyes open and feeling it, but concentrating on that feeling. So I was watching you. What really made me think was watching you concentrate on how your fingertips were feeling, your arms were feeling, your energy in your sacral chakra and your solar plexus, and you could see you feeling it and thinking about it. And that's where mindful body awareness starts. That's where you start. It's good basic. You can sit on the train on the way home, sit on the bus on the way home. I probably wouldn't recommend you do it while you're driving at the traffic lights, because we don't quite know where you go off. But you just being aware of, like, well, actually, even saying that, just holding the steering wheel, maybe think about how it feels in your hands, because those little things are starting to implant into your brain to get you into a thought pattern of how your body feels.
Well, you say thought pattern. It's actually, so this is science mixing with spirituality, and they go hand in hand. People say, oh no, it's science and this is spirituality. It doesn't. It's going to be proven, and maybe not in my lifetime, but it's going to be proven the two go hand in hand. Scientists are figuring out
they're already proving, aren't they, in a way?
Yeah.
Getting it out in the mainstream. Go on.
So meditation, and feel like being, so like I said, closing your eyes or opening your eyes and just feeling is starting to, so like, let's say, feel the power in you and you start to concentrate, like, I can instantly now go to that unconditional love place in me. It wasn't there. It was always there, but it wasn't there because my brain pathways couldn't feel their way there. But once I started feeling it, I went back and back and back and back. And what that does is actually physically creates pathways and chemical pathways in your body that energy can go there. Does that make sense? So the two go hand in hand. That's why psychologists are using meditation now. That's why they're using, they're going to go with, this could be another episode, but I don't know if we know a lot about it, but like, what's the word? Psychedelic drugs in minute forms in therapy sessions, because it instantly creates the pathway in a really fast way that they can go back to that and remember that experience. So if you feel it in the body, you're going to remember it. So if you can cultivate self-love, and this is what I do for now, is like help people go to that place of real self-love and then practice it. Fucking practice it. Fucking practice it. And you feel it. Not just saying, I love myself. Not affirmations. Actually feeling it in your body with the peace, with the thing, and that you can go back there anytime you want to. No matter what life throws at you, you're allowed to go back to that pathway. But people with trauma or neglectful childhoods or where things just didn't get that foundation, it's really hard for them. Some, I would say, almost impossible until you start creating those pathways where they actually feel, and it builds and builds. So it's science with spirituality.
This is what I used to find when I was in circle. Like, so when we would do a meditation before, we would do a grounding and everything, and when we would do the chakra opening up, a lot of people just could not do it. And but one thing that I think I've always been doing is, as a child, because I had to sort of be so at peace with my own spirit because there was a lot of bullying going on, I think it forced me to naturally be doing it without fully realizing. So when I was kind of, in circle and people were like, go into your heart chakra just for that unconditional love, I could do that quite easily because it's
You're
a
lucky because a
comfortable.
lot of kids take that trauma and they go, that's because of me. I'm shit.
Yeah, they don't able, they're not able. But for me, I was
Yeah.
able to because I've always, it's like my spirit has always been my biggest protector in a way. So it was quite interesting to sort of see in circle how so many struggled, and a lot of the time we couldn't get past the opening up, let alone doing anything else in the
And
beginning
that's where I come
stages.
in to help you find the pathway. No, honestly, that's what I like to do is help people find the pathway, clear out the junk so that the pathway can come there and
Yeah.
you know the truth of that. But yeah,
Mm.
that is amazing as a child that you knew that unconditional love
Yeah,
inside
I
of you.
just Yeah, even though there was the bullying and everything going on, it didn't. It's not that it didn't stick because there was awareness of it, but it's like I didn't allow those thoughts to become my own. I think that's what it
Mm.
is.
You
Can I
didn't let it go
psychoanalyze you for
too
a
deep.
second? Did your
Go on.
mom really, really love you unconditionally?
Yeah, my mum. Yeah.
That foundation there too, that's a big safety. That
Okay,
you
that's
you know what I'm
interesting.
saying? Like that you like that she's part of that spiritual growth in you, I think. That you
Mm,
came into this world knowing you were going to be accepted by that woman's energy, no
yeah,
matter
quite
what, here on
possibly.
earthly plane. That's really cool. No, that's really
Mm.
special.
And also in
Mm.
my astrology chart, mum's energy or the mother line energy features heavily, but also
Wow.
female energy in general, or crone energy features. Is probably why I'm with you two, but like it's just no, I'm really joking. But crone energy, there's a big chunk of my will.
Mm.
Is that, or my astrology chart is that I get on better or I connect better with older women or women of a certain age than people my own age.
What are you saying?
No disrespect. No disrespect to
Older
you
women.
guys.
God dear. You
You,
could really dislike somebody very quickly.
you son of a motherless goat. You.
You're both cool. You don't look your age. You're all good.
This is where we like him, isn't it, eh? Really dislike someone quickly.
I know he leaves messages for me. He's like, Mom, I mean Lucy. Oh no, but I
Oh,
think that's super
at
cool.
least you get mum. I just go, oh, you old hag. No, we don't. We take it
Uh,
back. We don't. We don't.
uh,
Honestly, we don't. But no, it's sorry, Lucy. What were you going to say?
no, I just I'm looking at Mitch's life like, and I just think that is because when I was young, oh, uh, my counselor said it to me the other day, and I don't like to talk about my past and that like, oh, poor me, because it's not like that at all. I really feel proud of what I've gone through in life. But she was like, you were amputated at the knees, basically, when you like as a child, and you've had to learn to like walk again energetically in your life in love and in truth and stuff like that. But I think about when I was a child laying in bed and feeling like I didn't want to be here anymore at all. Feeling
Mm,
like I know my parents loved me, but they they had problems. Do you know what I'm saying? They were like, and I felt like I was part of that. Even though they never really said that, I took that on as that if I wasn't around, their lives would probably be a lot easier and better and stuff like that. But I remember many times laying in bed and I wouldn't believe it, but I could feel it in the pit of my stomach that I was special and that
mm,
somehow my life meant something. But I didn't I thought that was ego. I didn't know what the word ego was, but conceited, I guess, was the word that was used a lot when I was younger. Don't be conceited. Don't think of yourself highly. Don't think of yourself better than anyone else. So I took that too as don't think of yourself at all, period. You know what I'm saying? It's wrong. But I would have that feeling and then I would deny it, but it was there really strong. And I do wonder if we talk, anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I wondered if they did a study of like people that have been through trauma as a child, if they had that feeling
I think
there
it
that
does
kept
definitely
them
play a
going,
part.
that kept
Yeah.
that going. Yeah.
because I've had like trauma, well, not trauma, but like, so everything I had great with my mum, she was also counteracting all the stuff that I was missing through my dad. So even though my dad loves me, and I do love my dad, and he is an amazing person, he loves me, but he never understood me, So because even before he knew I was gay, that was a massive thing, when he found out I was gay, that was like, like almost the biggest bombshell
But do you
going
think
off
he
for
was in
him.
denial? Because you've sent me pictures of you when you were young, and I'm like, oh, you have your Spider-Man with sparkles, or what was
Yeah,
it, Batman with sparkly, like,
oh yeah, I
yeah,
used to dress up as like a woman, like as far as like young as I could remember. My mum's
yeah.
boots were like my pretend Cher thing, and we had like a sort of slide in the front room that used to be my stage. And like
Oh, I love it. I fucking love it.
in
Oh,
my
I
mind,
love it.
I
Yeah,
felt like the embodiment of being another character. But yeah, but
yeah.
my dad, bless him. I think. I don't think that he thought I was a disappointment, but it felt like whatever I did, I was a disappointment because I wasn't doing sports. I wasn't masculine. I had a high pitched voice. He didn't feel.
He
He
looked at
says
you
he
as a
was.
definition of himself.
Yeah, he says he was openly proud of me, and maybe he was, but it never, for me, it never felt like that.
Yeah, like you reflected him somehow when you weren't your own
Yeah,
individual. Yeah.
and because I was artistic and creative, and he wanted me to kick a ball around, and he just couldn't understand how could my son not be like a carbon copy of me. But and I think and I see this with parents in readings. Some parents don't like, or they can't handle the fact that those kids are their own individual spirits. They have their own way of being in the world. And you don't have to force and inflict your ideas or your beliefs onto them. Let them be who they need to be.
100%.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, we're going down a rabbit hole with that.
No, no,
I think it was a cool one.
yeah, we
But I
like
think
going
it
down
does
there.
interlink. I think it does
Yeah.
interlink with what happens in your spiritual work or your spirituality as you become older, as you become more
Mm,
aware of your spiritual stuff.
And getting to know you. Obviously, we were talking about understanding and feeling what's going on through you and through your body. So, we were talking about making a start, like you guys obviously recognizing how things move and I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, blow. But we're talking about feeling energy, like Lucy was talking about feeling your power in your arms and your stomach and things like that. So if people and talking about feeling grounding and visualizing the tree. So if people like want to make a start of getting to, and the thought pattern, that's where I was going. The thought pattern. We were going round the M25 instead of going straight
Ground,
through the
Carly,
middle.
ground.
Center, Carly, center.
ADHD, middle-aged woman, brain moment. It doesn't matter. I'll waffle and we'll get there in the end. There we go. We're there. Right. Thought, don't let me think of anything else.
Thought pattern. Pattern.
Thought pattern. So we're talking about the thought pattern, and obviously you were saying about opening up those. It's a combination of everything. So if we're talking on the medical sort of scientific way side of things, when you sit and start focusing on how things feel, your body slows down, your breathing becomes deeper, which actually then takes more oxygen into your body, which then feeds your brain.
Yeah. It's physical and spiritual, science and
Absolutely.
spirit,
Yeah, all works together. And it's one thing I always say to people when they come to the stool is breathe. It's the most important thing in the world. You can do the smallest thing, but it will create such a big thing, isn't it? So the smallest thing, like feeling where your hands are on a steering wheel, slowing the thought pattern down, taking a couple of deep breaths, you'll be really surprised. You can start with the smallest thing and that will escalate. You'll get better and better and better at it. And we're all talking about to your heart, connecting up with that self-love. You just need to start with that single feeling of touching something or your feet on the floor. If you're listening to this now, obviously please don't be driving a car, but just feel where your feet are. Just feel, if they're in shoes, it doesn't matter. You can feel your socks, feel your feet, your toes, your socks, your boots, your shoes, what they're on, and just start to be really aware. And you're making a start. You'd be surprised. You're making a start to learning how to then ground and bring your thoughts in. And it's the most simple thing to start with. So where, some people out there might be thinking, oh, where do I start? I don't know how to ground. I don't know how to do this. I've been told to do that, and blah, 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 blah. You can start with the most tiniest, simplest thing. And that's where we
A
all
deep breath.
started. Yeah,
A
a
deep
deep
breath to
breath.
bring you into your body. Just a
Yeah.
deep
And a
breath.
proper breath, because a lot of people
Yeah.
don't know how to breathe properly, actually.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
call it operatic singer breath. So if you think about when you take a deep breath, I got taught this actually. It really helped. Another great thing, really helped with period cramps. So if you take a deep breath and push that deep breath down into the lower half of your stomach, so right down into your sacral chakra down the bottom, and breathe it out through your sacral chakra and breathe it back in again. So not in your chest, don't inflate your chest, inflate your stomach and your lower abdomen like an operatic singer. So you watch operatic singers, they don't sing from the chest, they sing from the gut. And that's where it needs to be. And sometimes I say it's like filling your boots, that whole thing about filling your boots and taking that, really in and filling that lower half of your stomach. And even sat on a chair, obviously talking to you guys now, taking that deep breath in, and I'm sat on the chair, you do feel like your ass is stuck to the chair. But it
Yeah.
works.
Well, I suffered from panic attacks really bad. Like I told you guys, my anxiety, it was through the roof, and I mean, I'd have a panic attack just laying on the couch. I'd be laying on my first panic attack. Well, I had other panic attacks and didn't realize they were panic attacks. But the first time where I actually went to hospital, like, because I thought I was fucking dying. Like I thought I was having a heart attack at the age of like 22, but I thought I was laying on the couch watching Little House on the Prairie, my favorite show, and then all of a sudden it was like I couldn't. I could go back there. I couldn't breathe. I started crying, and I just and my heart was hurting, and it was like going 1,000 miles a minute, and my chest was hurting, and I just thought, "What's going on here?" And my now ex-husband rushed me to hospital, and they hooked me up to a EKG machine and all that, and they're like, "You're having a
ECG.
massive, massive panic attack," and they gave me stuff to calm down, but breathing, because I was just breathing, like I wasn't even getting enough oxygen, and then that took me out, and I took those panic attacks as like a spiritual, because I was so like feeling that God hated me. It's the spiritual like attack. Can you see how the two can get really
Mm,
like, because
mm,
it's such strong energy, and like ungrounded people, and I'm not saying all ungrounded people, but ungroundedness can lead to mental health conditions. That's
mm,
why it's so important to bring yourself. So if you think like Carly will say, I can only ground to a certain level because you probably have a lot of earth in you. Does that make sense? But
mm.
me, I gotta go deep, deep. You know what I'm saying? Like really, I imagine myself, I don't anchor, but I go to the core. Like I go right to, and I
Mm.
imagine Mother Earth there with me. Like loving my energy, and just being with me. And then I actually bring her, this is what I also do, is I imagine her coming up, her energy from the earth coming up then after I've gone down, coming up and meeting me in my heart. So
Mm.
that like I'm grounded. Then if I want to open up my crown, I imagine my crown coming and then spirit and that. And I have other chakras I open up behind my head and stuff like that for different things. But another thing I do that's really helped get to know thyself is I love doing trance. And for me, trance has helped me with that. I sit with my own energy and then I imagine it and I feel it. So it's not just imagination, I feel it. And I've practiced it going in and out and in and out. But I practice it going out, out, out. And then I invite my guide to come in and blend into my energy. And
Mm.
then I start to, in my mind, start to sense where does it feel different? What feels different? Right? So sometimes my knees start to get shaky, and I've had to ask him, like, slow down, slow down. And this is what you said about like people coming off the stage all
Yeah, or
Move after
uncensored. Yeah.
all uncentered. For me, when I go into this trance state and my guide comes and blends with me, because I truly believe I am spirit, but I just have this. Does that make sense? But I am, like we were talking about this the other day, Mitch, you are part of your spiritual team because you are
Yeah.
spirit in human form. And so when he comes in, I can sense, like, I sometimes start getting sweaty, like the heat in my face and stuff like that. And there's just different things. My lip does this weird thing sometimes, but I've been asking that to slow down. But if I'm in trance, and one time I came out very quickly, where they're like, okay, now you can open up your eyes. And I just went like, and I
Oh, did you have a head
had
rush from that?
to throw up.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
I was like, I like, because the energy just kind of went like that. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
and that, but it was a good lesson for me to learn of
Mm,
really slowly. So, like when I'm working with my own energy too, I don't like to fool around too fast with it because energy is energy. It
mm,
can cause you to feel a little bit
mm,
woo wee,
mm,
and so I just like slow it down and just really spend time with
mm,
it. And boy, oh boy, I've become my own best friend in a way
mm,
Mm.
because I like it.
mm. I
I
mean,
like my energy.
coming
Other
out of
people may not, but
trance.
I do. Yeah, sorry.
See, coming out of trance like that, there was an analogy. I was thinking of it, sort of people, so people understand. If you think of like running a half marathon, you've been belting along, running a half marathon, you go over the finish line and suddenly you stop. That
Oh yeah,
adrenaline rush, the amount of people you see look quite ill after running half marathons and marathons. You I always got told you never do that. If you slow down, you're going to walk, you keep moving, you put your tracksuit bottoms back on and keep everything warm, so you keep everything, so you don't get that sudden adrenaline hit which then makes
Hmm.
you feel sick. So people are, oh, my legs this evening have been going every time I start talking. So whatever's going on, it's
The energy that
Well,
usually
I'm
shows me
grounded.
too. Yeah,
been
you you
fed.
you were a big runner though, Carly. I've never been much of a
I
runner.
used to be, not so much now. I've filled out round the middle. I
Do you know
used
No,
to
I
be
what?
a
don't.
big runner.
I don't like the
Do-
feeling of running. Yeah. When you
Well, I
see
was
them
gonna say,
throw it up on the side of the road, you go, "Why do you do this?" But they love it. It's
run by fucking
like,
bell, wouldn't it? Like,
Go on. What
I
are you
was
going to
gonna,
say, Mitch?
I was gonna say, it's interesting. No, it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. I was gonna say whether you were talking earlier about like the grounding. For me, grounding is easier because I've got three Earth in my star chart. So I've got
Mm,
like the Capricorn, the Taurus, and the Virgo. What I find harder is to go up. So, like when I go up through the chakras, and if I want to open up, like, to extend to spirit, for me, that's where I need a lot more awareness and a lot more effort. Grounding is easy, but it's going up that's hard for me. So it's interesting how
mm,
we're all slightly different with our
yeah,
mechanics.
because going
mm,
up's
mm,
easy, easy.
mm,
Honestly, easy.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, too
Not for
much.
me. It's like a ladder. I have to really, really work at like extending those roots up.
And you know
mm,
what? I ache to ground. It's so funny because you probably like, oh, you've had to build that and build it and practice getting that energy to be able
Mm.
to flow easier going that way or allowing it to open and stuff. And for me, it's funny, like when you have straight hair, you're like, oh, I wish I had curly hair, and I've got curly hair, and I look at people with straight hair, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had straight hair, and I wish it was thinner. We always wish kind of the opposite of what we have,
mm,
and it's like it's just like realizing. That's why I say realizing your vulnerabilities, but also realizing your strength. But your vulnerabilities are actually your wisdom.
Yeah,
mm,
They're
mm,
the ones that actually you're probably going to become the strongest in if you actually choose to look at them and work with them. And
mm,
exactly.
mm. I think you're gonna hate me. I keep going back to the ponies, but
Bloody
uh,
horse whisperer.
bloody
yeah,
horses.
exactly.
Um, but when I was used to do, I was yeah, but a lot of, I tell you what, I'm listening to you guys, and a lot of
No,
what I
they
learned
taught you a lot, Carly. They taught
yeah,
you
they've
your pit.
so much. They've taught me, my spiritual path and who I am and feeling things. Listening to Mitch saying he struggles to go up. Well, I haven't gone too far, but I actually the sort of I suppose if you look at it as, right, so a tree. Let's try and explain what I'm trying to say. Let's get my bloody words out. So, when you talk to riding an Alexander technique, they visions. So you get a visionary thing. So when I used to teach people to ride, I used to say, right, imagine you are a tree. So your feet are the roots. I mean, this is before I was following my path that I'm following now. So your feet are the roots, your legs are the roots, your body is the trunk. These are your branches, and this is the top of your tree. Okay. And to enable people to go to take their legs down and imagine them around the horse and their body to come up, I would say the branches move with the horse as you go. Your legs are not stiff, but the branches, roots move. So they go down and around the horse. And then this goes up like the top of the tree.
Cool. Yeah.
So I used to teach lots of kids. So if you say,
and why are you not teaching this to people? Just to put out there.
Exactly. Because we've been hassling Carly. We've been hassling Carly all week because she's a damn good teacher, and we want her to step into her teaching role.
Because unfortunately, in the horse world, they want bloody initials after it.
Forget the horse world. You can apply this in the spiritual world.
100%.
Well, okay. So you say to someone, I used to say to the kids, pretend you're a tree, and they would automatically come up. Their hat was the top of the branches, the crown of the tree, right out the top. These are the branches that are going with the horse. The legs go down, and their whole body would elongate. And because you're feeling riding, you're in your brain, you're feeling riding, you're opening those paths, you're being body aware. And I'm actually, because I used to go, right, I'm a tree, I can actually pull the top of my head upwards. So I haven't gone a long way up, but I can go that way, and I can go that way as well.
I bet you could astral project. I bet you could astral project, Carly, if you tried. I bet you could.
Probably, but I haven't tried it. I'll be honest.
But do you know what? This is like lesson 1 of your module that you could easily put together. Just saying, like.
But we're not going off down this rabbit hole. Stop now.
But what you're talking about,
we are when when we push stop. We are.
Yeah, but what you're like sort of talking about though, Carly, this is basic stuff with any mediumship to sort of connect to spirit and to have that ascension of, like you say, pulling your head up. You have to ground. It's the tree of life. If you think of the tree of life, the more that the roots go in, the more they can extend up.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
And it's, obviously with the reins, you would say that the reins.
Take the horse to one side.
I know, but that's the only way I can visualize it in my head.
Well, imagine you're on a broomstick.
You're the badass witch you want to be.
Hold it on.
You can hit the back of the broom while you're.
I trust a horse more than I trust a broomstick. Have you ever tried riding one of them fuckers?
I have that one back there. I haven't tried to ride it.
Take it with the wind and everything they do.
But isn't it interesting how we've all come at it from a different way, but actually the ethos is the same?
Yeah, yes. And it's what works for you. The base is the same, isn't it? The roots are the same. Yeah. But it's what works for you as an individual. And that's what, to the three of us, spirituality is all about, is the fun, experimenting, getting to know yourself and getting to know yourself as spirit with spirit, and it's amazing journey. Like, let's talk protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
What works for you? I've tried different things, and I found the one that Mitch recommended to me worked the best.
Oh yeah,
big bag of salt, and you take it out and you throw it at the buggers like that. You go around and just throw it at them.
I just think, for me, protection.
Pepper spray.
No, for me, like when I put protection up, it's literally just sealing myself in either a ball of light, or I normally use a cloak of protection. So I just imagine an old sort of wizard's cloak being pulled around me with the hood up. And then once I've got it on, I imagine it vibrating as bright as the sun. So really, you can visualize and you can see that light in your mind, and you can project that out. And that light encases you in this. It's like a shield, and if you want to add mirrors, you can. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
That's what I did. That really worked for me, was when you said add mirrors.
If I'm going into like a place where I know it's like the Viper's Den, or I know I've got a load of arseholes, I will put the mirrors up, just because I know I know I'm going to come off worse otherwise. But there are
Yeah.
some times when I don't need to do that, or sometimes the cloak is enough. Like when I do my Zooms, before I do any Zoom reading, even though it's on Zoom, so I'm not physically seeing the person in person as such, I will still put that protection in place because you can still get transference, you know? For me, that's another thing. When I did that my meditation circle, so she used to tell us about how to protect. So I would sometimes have to go into like corporate meetings with a bunch of arseholes and people that they were all so materialistic and just everything was about greed and money. And I would go in, and when I cloaked, I got much better results than when I didn't.
Mhm. And that's part of the experimenting is
Yeah.
seeing what works for you. Like for me, I learned to put like almost like a bubble around me, right? And I
Mm.
picked the color and it was kind of like this see-throughy with a pinky hue. And that works for when I need a light protection. Does that make sense? But when I was going into areas where I knew the other people's energy is going to really freaking affect me. Does that make sense? Or really affect me? Because I know my vulnerabilities, and this is part of getting to know yourself, is
Yeah.
that I know that certain energies will, and I could say, oh, it's them, and project onto them, but their energy might not bother other people. But I know for me, it bothers me, and I'm being honest with myself of why it bothers me because maybe I'm vulnerable in this area, and it kind of brings that up. Does that make sense in me or whatever? And I don't have time to deal with all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be counseling myself the whole time I'm sitting there with them. I put up the mirrors. Does that make sense? And what it did was create almost a little room inside myself where I'm like the people that were meant for me, like at a fair, let's say, the people that were meant for me came to me and it was almost like we had our own little kind of I looked at it, it was like an igloo of mirrors around us that we were
Yeah.
just in this little igloo together and nothing else really kind of affected us.
Matters.
And I could feel when I thought about it afterwards, because you're in the moment and you're doing things and you put up the protection, you just trust it's there. And you really just put the intention out there.
Mm.
But my brain used to want to go protection, 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 because I would doubt like it was like if I didn't do it enough, it was an
Okay.
OCD thing with me. If I didn't do it enough, it wasn't happening. And now I've really been able to just that's part of my healing is to be able to go protection and imagine it there. And then afterwards, I go, wow, after the thing is done or whatever. And I go, man, it felt like we were like this. And the feeling of it was there and the evidence inside you and other people are like, it was like you were in your own little world.
Mm.
You reading there, it was like you and I could see things going on, but it was like you were just you know, and that's the cool thing is experimenting and having fun with it and then seeing the evidence of it. Like Mitch, you've seen the evidence of I came out of those meetings feeling a lot better, a lot more like that you're still in tune with yourself and you weren't sucked out by everyone else's
Yeah.
materialism, which can get like those types of meetings, they want to get you pumped. Does that make sense?
Mm.
They want you in that frame of mind of money, 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 and that's all you're thinking about company, doing the best for the company, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
if you're not aligned with it, you don't want your energy going that way.
Another good one is if you've got an individual. So I used to have a very, very sort of narcissistic boss, and she was just a nightmare. And what I used to end up doing was imagining like a sort of like a glass or like a snow globe, and just sort of in my mind
Mm,
putting it over her. And when I didn't always do it, but the days I did that, she was a lot less problematic, or her energy bothered me a lot less than when I didn't do it.
yeah. Yeah, it's super cool because actually you think, oh, am I punishing that person by doing that, or am I thinking bad? But actually, there might be stuff in them that actually helps them with you that you don't know about because it's really none of my business what someone else is thinking of me. Does that make
Mm.
sense? So if I put protection up, I actually might be helping them where they go, God, Lucy's energy didn't bother me at all today. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they're less reactive to
It's
me,
boundaries. It's boundaries, and
Yeah,
also it's respecting myself enough that I don't want to take on that.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm completely well, not completely different, but I do.
You bring a
It's
horse
like,
in, do you? Like,
yeah,
I'm
I
only
have I have
teasing.
one
Sorry.
waiting in the wings. There's one waiting in the wings, ready to gallop in and whisk me up, a bit like knight in shining
You know what
armor.
she,
No, I'm only
you know what she
joking.
does? She wears a horseshoe in her bra. She wears a
I
horseshoe in her.
do.
Do you know though, horseshoes actually are used a lot in magic.
Oh,
Actually,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
instead of crystals, she's got underwire horseshoes in her bra to lift him.
God, I'd need Shire horseshoes, wouldn't I?
But you're
Sorry.
good with
Anyway,
you're good with crystals, Carly. So could you also recommend some? Because I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Hang on,
So,
we
I
want to
mean,
know what she does
so it's
first.
just, yeah, no. So, she said, move it along, move it along.
Oh dear.
So, like where you go
I'm
in
on
your
one.
cloak, Mitch. I don't know, just can't get the staff, can it? So you go in your cloak, and then Sophie, Sophie? Who's Sophie?
Sure, I'll be
Lucy?
Sophie. I'll be Sophie.
What?
Oh dear.
It's time to
Bob.
ground, Carly.
Have you been using the psychedelics already?
What's in my tea? I better check, hadn't I?
You've been on the mushrooms tonight, girl. I think.
Oh, I don't know. Red face. It's all going a bit. Anyway, Sophie pops up at some point in time. Hurrah! But
I
so
like the name
Lucy,
Sophie. You can call her Sophie.
Lucy, Sophie. So Lucy has. I wanted to say it again. Why did I want to say that again? God, Bennett. All right. So Lucy
Are you
has.
channeling a past life or something at the moment?
Maybe.
I have no idea. I will let you know when we come out the other side. Like, so what's going on? So Lucy, you obviously have your lovely globe, your opaque globe and ball.
Bubble. Yeah.
I can't. I tried that. So when I first started trying to put up protection, obviously it's one of those things that people talk about and you all get worried. Oh, I've not put protection. I've not done this. So I tried the boiling tube and just felt like I was inside a condom and I just didn't feel comfortable. I tried the.
I wouldn't feel comfortable with that either. Was it lubricated?
Maybe
I
that's
don't
the
know.
new version to try.
I don't know. Just felt wrong.
I'm going to say to my clients, imagine yourself in a rubber
condom. Have you ever seen Naked Gun?
No.
Like,
Yes.
Anyway, they come out. They're because it was all about safe sex. They're like covered from head to toe in like a big condom, and they're each in a condom, and they're like trying to kiss and make sex.
Yeah. No, it just felt like
that's what I saw.
So I just felt really restricted, like supposed to be in this. Yeah, I did. I felt a bit, yeah. So I didn't feel right in the boiling tube. Couldn't envision myself in a bubble. Tried the cloak, couldn't visualize myself in that. So I go the other way. So Teletubbies. I think we've possibly spoken about this on previous podcasts. So everybody knows what a Teletubby is. Those funny Tinky
Care Bears
Winky.
for North Americans. Care Bears.
That's the kiddie. Yeah, Care Bears. Blah, 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 blah. So it's the same sort of thing, but I imagine that light coming out of my tummy, and it'll go out and all the way round, and it'll either be really bright, like Mitch's goes really bright white, so I can have it close and bright, which means I've got quite high protection quite close. I can take it out and it's like on a dimmer switch. I imagine it on a dimmer switch.
Cool. Yeah.
So I can then take it out and mellow it, so it goes like magnolia, or it can go really soft, warm, light, which means that it tends to be like that when I'm working, so that the people then coming into that space, like you, Lucy, I create this light that people can stand in, but it's all over like a lamp. So if you've got a lamp like that, so they're then coming to my space when I'm reading, or the stall will sometimes have it. So if I come, the stall hasn't got it all the time, but if somebody comes over who obviously needs something or needs a bit of help or a bit of self, a bit of love, a bit of warmth, then I will and put it there, and it will then engulf me and them. But it'll be like that lovely warm soft glow that you get in a
cool.
A normal electric light. And I can take it out as far, if I really want, you go into Aldi's or Lidl's or something's really riling me up, I can have bright light out as far as I want it.
Yeah. you know what though, that's cool, because that gives you, in mental health, that would give you autonomy of yourself and control of yourself. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. When a lot of that's been taken away from people, or they feel it's been taken away, that actually is giving you the control of like I imagine
how far Mitch they put it
as like Pinhead from Hellraiser. Do you remember Pinhead from Hellraiser?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You put a picture up of like a few days ago on your Facebook of like no
Oh
one
yeah,
hugged
with
me,
all
and
the
it was that guy.
spikes. Yeah.
Yeah, Pinhead from Hellraiser. It's got like pins coming out from every area of his head. Oh, I'm only teasing. You're not like that, Mitch. But you can feel your, you know what though, Mitch, you can feel your protection. And I have felt it where I'm like, holy crap, like, whoa.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
like you
because in
just,
the beginning stages, when before we were kind of as acquainted as we are now, like I had my protection up with you guys. So even though I was reading for
Mm.
you and it was lovely, I
yeah.
was like, "Who is this? Who is this woman?" And I was,
Well, totally.
you
And I
know,
felt it when you were reading for me. I was just like, wow, this guy is like buckled down and has his protection up. Like it
Mm.
was,
yeah,
but
and it,
then
not in a
no,
nasty or
because you
negative way.
got me, which I was shocked because later on you showed me that you got my energy. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And I was like, I didn't feel that at all when you were there because you were just so like professional and gave me the evidence that was needed and I needed. And I
mm.
thought, oh, I haven't made any impact on this man whatsoever. And then later on, you showed me, like, you got me.
Yeah, you stalked me in the car park as I was packing up.
I did. I didn't do that at that fair, did I?
You did. No, not stalk me. Me and Mum were packing up, and then you and Colin just happened to be lurking around the car park, and I was just like, "Oh,
I
Oh, she's a
can't even
lurker.
remember that. Oh my God. I might have been off with I wasn't grounded then. Holy.
no!" But we just like happened to naturally be, but it wasn't even a weird thing. We just literally bumped into each other, and we got chatting, and it was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's all okay."
Yeah, yeah, but your protection is amazing. I must say, like your ability to work with your energy is mind-blowing in my eyes,
Mm.
Mitch. Yeah,
Well,
mind-blowing. Yeah,
Mm.
I think
yeah.
I'm so
And
used to
some
it.
people don't
Just
like that.
it's
Some people don't like that because I think it's something they lack in themselves that they
But
go,
but you know what? I see like kind of protection in a way a little bit because obviously with the work I do, it's a bit like brushing my teeth. Yeah, I don't really give it
mm,
overly too much thought nowadays because it's just
yeah,
something I do, or putting on a piece of clothing. You know.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm. And
I was,
that comes through regularly doing it. It's like going to the gym, isn't it? The
Mm.
more you regularly do it, the more it naturally happens.
Well, I wouldn't go to
Um,
the gym, but like I
yeah,
think it
you know what
would.
I mean.
I would say you're an energetic muscle man, though. Energy-wise, you're like a freaking
Oh,
Olympian. You are.
if I
She
can get that
wanted
in body, that would be good.
she wanted a pay rise. She wanted a pay rise.
To know she's on one tonight. Both of you two are very
I am.
mischievous.
I am. It's a Friday. Oh, this will be released on Wednesday, but man, it's a Friday night. Well, there was something I was going to say though about yeah, protect crystals.
Crystals,
What?
yeah. So obviously, I mean, I work with crystals. Do you two work with crystals as
I'm
well?
I have
holding one
loads
right
of
now as I'm
them.
talking to you. Smoky
Yeah.
Yeah,
quartz.
she's.
That's my go-to.
Which one is it? Naked quartz.
Smoky quartz every
Smoky
time.
quartz.
Smoky quartz is so good. I use it a lot
So
for when
what
I
does
get
it do for you,
headaches.
Mitch? Oh,
So
headaches. Yeah.
smoky quartz is a natural good grounder. It's good to repel negativity. It also is good. It can like physically absorb negative energy. So I use it a lot. I've got a bigger piece than this. So when I've got a headache, I will go to bed because sleep is the only thing that gets rid of headaches for me. I don't really take pills. They don't do anything. But I'll put a massive piece of smoky quartz on my head and I'll just sleep for half an hour. And usually it doesn't always stop it completely, but it will certainly lessen the effects of it. But
Mm.
smoky quartz is great for grounding, for earthing. Sometimes I'll use black tourmaline or sometimes tiger's eye. I'm not that drawn to tiger's eye actually, as a rule, even though it is a good protection stone. But for me, anything that's black in colour or dark in colour seems to work better.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
What
mine's
about you, Luce?
flower gate. Is that how you say it? Flower gatey? Gatey? Agati?
Do you mean
I could
fluorite?
no, I'll show you.
Flower Argate.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, fluorite. Agate. Agate. Is that
Yeah,
what it
agate.
says?
Yeah.
Don't you look small on the camera?
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment because I don't feel small. Yeah. So it's like got little flowers in
Wow.
it and stuff. And it's for self-love. And that's like one of the
That's
most important things to
beautiful.
me, you know, in my
Mm.
life. And this one, I didn't know it because I bought this one like on a kind of an auction online type thing. They were showing them and I was like, oh, I want that one. I just felt drawn to it. When I got it, look at it.
Oh, how
Oh,
It's got a
beautiful is
Jersey,
that?
it's got a Jersey heart. Yeah, so I have loads of them around my house. Just and what happens is that I just can feel my body calm, I earth, and the love comes for me. Does that make sense? And I almost feel my own energy of that love. And it grounds me. It does numerous things for me all at once, but it really works for me. But I use other ones for different things. There's some where I can only touch them for a bit, and then I'm like, or work with them for a bit because they're so, I don't know.
A bit too intense.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, me, I'm a huge crystal fan. Huge crystal and aromatherapies. I'm just like, yeah, you know. I'll tell you a lovely. I don't know if I actually told you about this. It was like one of Mitch's fairs. If anybody ever is a doubter and comes along and goes, well, they're just, crystal, all that. I always tell them this. It's not a story, but I always tell them this experience. So I had a young lady come up to the stall. I mean, bless her, she looked whacked. She physically looked tired and emotionally tired. And I said to her, I said, are you okay? And I said, you just look really tired. And she said, she said, I'm shattered. Young mum, had a toddler, I think he was 2 at the time. And she said, my youngster's just not sleeping. And I said, well, okay, what do you mean? I mean, we know toddlers don't sleep. There's obviously sometimes lots of other things. And we also know that children are very receptacle to, all this stuff that goes on. They're very sensitive. So she said, oh, he's not sleeping. I can't get him in a sleep pattern. I mean, there's lots of other things and bits and pieces. So I said, right, okay. I said, I tell you what, I just got pushed. Well, I got pushed. I got told to make an aura spray. So I made him a little aura spray that was pet friendly. So I used aromatherapy oils. And very gentle. Fun enough, children actually, a lot of people say lavender, but actually chamomile is better rather than lavender for calming. And I said to her, I said, right, I'm going to give you a piece of rose quartz. So I gifted her all of this because she just looked, bless her, she just looked run down. And I gifted her a piece of rose quartz. And I said to her, I said, put it under his mattress, because obviously being 2, I didn't want him to get hold of it. Put it under his mattress at the head end. I said, it might not be instant. I said, give it a couple of days and see how it goes. I said, but don't tell him it's there, because then he'll want to get the thing out, and as all 2-year-olds do. So she didn't tell him it was there. She put it underneath his pillow. So this is completely not even a placebo effect. So it's not like giving an adult a piece of rose quartz and saying you're going to sleep better. And I messaged her at the end of week 2, I think it was, and said, I've made your aura spray. Where do I send it? How are things going? And she said, oh my God. She said 2 days and he was sleeping through the night.
Oh,
that's
and I was just like, I said, right, that's fine. I'll still send you the aura spray. Don't use a lot, just a couple of puffs. Make sure it dries out before he goes in, and carry on, So yeah, he was sleeping through the night. So whether or not she changed anything as well, she said to me she hadn't. She'd just put the rose quartz under his pillow. Wow. So I am that story or that experience to me, just, if anyone ever says, oh, I don't believe in it, I go, well, how do you explain that with a 2-year-old who doesn't know it's there? And
but do you know what that makes me feel?
What's
module 2. That's module 2 for you, isn't it?
Shut up.
We're going to put it together. We're going to write this out for her. She's going to have it because it's all there. She's just giving it to us all, and we'll be like, yeah, let's do it.
Stop.
But I do that with Minnie, with like not put it under a pillow, but Minnie loves crystals, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know a lot about crystals. I like them too. I've just discovered them in the last year, and I used to think, oh, that's hokey. You know what I'm saying? I went to Glastonbury one time and I saw this woman, and she was in that crystal shop in Glastonbury where she's got them all in. It's kind of off in the corner.
Yeah, anyway, I can't go in there. It makes me feel icky.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
This girl was in there, and she was like, I think she wasn't running with all wheels turning. They're like, not all the tools were in the shed, kind of thing.
Well, it is Glastonbury, so
it's not the person working there, but this was just a customer in there, and this girl was touching. She was touching all the stones, and she was like, oh, like really, like jolting around. She's like, oh, I feel.
I can understand that.
Arm. And then she's like, the next one, she's like, oh, I feel that. And I thought, I had to get out of there. I was like, you weirdo. This was before I was like right into all this. And then, but with Minnie, she likes crystals, and I don't know what a lot of them, their uses are. So I'll look them up on the internet and we'll have one. And I'll do a test on her and I'll be like, hold it, close your eyes, hold it. Tell me where you feel it in your body. And she's bang on every time.
Mm.
That's cool.
Every time. And it's really cool. And Colin usually is too, but Colin's very earth, and crystals come from the,
Mm.
you know what I'm
Earth,
saying? From
yeah.
the earth. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting
I
because Paul loves his crystals as well. You know, he's not Earth. He's airy, so he's got a lot of fire, but he loves his
Fire. He's
crystals.
like, yeah.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
I think they're really good. I mean, I think we're going to talk about protection. I mean, you know, it depends where depends where I am, what I'm doing. Sometimes I love black moonstone. I've got the most amazing piece of black moonstone. It's by the side of my bed in a wooden box covered in velvet. So, I do have crystals by the side of the bed, but they're in wood and not transmitting. But I love black moonstone. It's beautiful. It's the most, and I will
So
have
what would
that.
that do? What would that do?
So it's a really good
help you with?
protection stone, but because it's moonstone, it works with the feminine energy. But it also heightens your psychic abilities and things as well, so your spiritual abilities. So sometimes if I'm doing the fairs or I'm doing a market, I will have it in my back pocket, in my arse pocket, but not always. It depends. I will know now when I pick something up. If my stomach goes blah, then it's not right. It stays at home. I've got an amazing piece of labradorite, which is actually quite a strong stone. So here's another little experience thing. So I started off with amethyst, which is a really good, very gentle crown chakra, lovely protection stone. So if you're just starting to use crystals, amethyst, rose quartz, and clear quartz are phenomenal. They're nice and simple. Clear quartz, just be careful what you put it next to because it's an amplifier. It's like sticking an electric guitar in a speaker.
That's why I've got these two together.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. It goes out like that. It's amazing.
I've got quite a bit of clear quartz over here.
Yeah. And it's an amazing master healer. So it's a master crystal. You can actually, I saw something the other day. It hasn't been proven yet, but somebody put it on their electric meter.
Oh.
What is stop it and not charge of electricity?
It slowed it down.
Oh, I'm not telling. Well, oh my God, we're going to be done.
Don't everybody follow it.
Do you know what this sounds like? Module 3.
Exactly.
Stop it, Gordon Bennett. So clear quartz is amazing, but it is a massive amplifier. So if you're just getting to using crystals, the three nice simple ones are really easy. If you feel you need a little bit more protection, amethyst and clear quartz together in your pocket. I always, if I'm got that, I always put rose quartz, but I put it in my bra and I put it on the left hand side because it's closest to your heart, because it's a heart chakra stone. But I always call it a hug in a stone, so it's like carrying a hug with you. So if you need a little bit of self-confidence, it's really nice. I started first time I used labradorite. Now that's the beautiful one that's got that sort of iridescent raven looking, you move it and it looks very oily, but it's beautiful. That actually, the first time I had the tiniest piece and I put that in my bra and it actually got hot. Now I put rose quartz and clear quartz and it got hot. So it was, and I was like, oh, that's uncomfortable. And you have to be a little bit careful with it because until you get used to working with crystals, it can be quite powerful and it can make you feel actually off.
Yeah, I had one make me feel off. I don't even know what it was. Just it's over there and I'll only pick it up for slight little things, but I worked too hard with it and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But
your body, well, you'll go back to it at some point in time. You might pick it up and start working with it and it'll be the right time to work with it.
Yeah.
You've got to think of these things coming from the earth. So they'll be in tune with when you need them. So labradorite I've used occasionally. Tourmaline, I went to Old Sarum. So for some obscure reason, I really wanted to go to Old Sarum, which is the site of William the Conqueror's castle. It's where the first Salisbury Cathedral was. And it's amazing. But for some obscure reason, I thought to myself, I'm going in there. I need something rather than amethyst with clear quartz. And I bought myself a tourmaline bracelet and I put it on, absolutely fine. Felt okay. Walked into Old Sarum and then started feeling a bit icky. And I thought, oh, why am I feeling icky? And I thought, actually, it's probably might be the tourmaline bracelet. So I took it off, put it down on the ground and started feeling better. I thought, oh, okay, it's the tourmaline bracelet. But something told me to put it back on and bear with it because there was a reason why I needed it on. So it depends on my protection with crystals, depends on where I am and what I feel in the morning. So if I'm reading at a fair, I've normally got rose quartz in my bra. You're all going to look at me now going, she's got rose quartz in her bra. You're all going to know.
She's got like 50 different crystals just hanging in her bra.
I tell you what, it's when you forget, you get home and you go and have a shower and they go across the bathroom. You go like that. Bing, 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 bing.
What happens to you too, Mitch?
Yeah, just that's the same with you, Mitch.
With my bra.
Yeah.
You went, yeah.
Just saying, yeah. Now
we're nearly we're over the witching hour actually.
Are we? Oh, okay, we'll wrap it up. But so it just depends on what I feel I need to at the time and what I've got. I mean, I normally sit when I'm reading fair with. I've normally got fluorite on the table. I quite like fluorite. That's quite a nice one to use as well.
That's good for like general health as well, isn't it? Fluorite.
Yeah, it's quite good. Tiger's Eye is another really good one for grounding, and that also resonates with the heart chakra. So that's another one that's really nice to actually use. Very gentle. But the blue tigers.
What we can take from this is module 4 is coming for everybody. Crystal introduction.
I don't know why you don't have your own crystal shop. Like she should have a crystal shop that she does. Yeah.
Because I wouldn't sell anything because it was all mine. It's all mine. No one's having anything. It's all mine. Somebody will come and go,
you know what came across me? It's like we were talking about protection and this and that. Why don't we do a podcast on our spirit guides? And their different kind of jobs or what they represent to us or how they've come to us. What does that sound like to you two?
Yeah, we can do that on episode. Well, it'll be 18, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
But Carly, wow. The info.
The knowledge.
Don't be sorry. I think it's just giving you proof of what we've been saying.
Oh, go away.
Viewers, I think if you would like to sort of see an introduction to witchcraft, let us know. Run via Carly.
Exactly.
You bugger.
Well, gentle pushing, just it's spirit, not me.
Is it?
My guide's
Is it?
My guide's on my back.
I see almost like a wizard school going on, like a wizard school for kids and everything. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Carly's like, let's fucking wrap this up.
Yeah. All
you
right.
Buggers. Well, talk about be set up. Yeah, all right.
I wasn't. It was like I'm typing to him. Tell her it's module 1.
No, literally. Like you just make me laugh though when you say I don't know my introduction in. You've just literally showed your whole program basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did say the other day when we were all talking, I will start writing something. I've had readings with.
You've got it.
I know.
I think you just need to watch these podcasts, and you'll get your whole. Honestly.
Okay.
The information that you come out with is so practical, Carly, and so down to earth, and so easy for people to understand.
And that's what's lovely. It makes it easy.
Yeah.
There's no hocus pocus. There's no foo or any dramatics. It's just do what it says on the tin.
Exactly. And that's what most of us really need. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what an awesome. Yeah, well, you're awesome, Carly. So
don't start crying. I don't do tears.
No, we're not doing that.
There, are you crying? Throat punch, are you there? Are you crying now, Mitch? nipple twist. Are you crying now, Mitch? I don't know what I'm on. Sorry, you guys. I'll let you guys go. Oh, lots of love and light from Lucy over here.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye for now.